Did you know that the only purpose of suffering is to understand you don't have to suffer anymore? As humans, we are constantly thinking about the past and the future, but very few of us truly realize that the present moment is the only reality. This realization changed my life, for the better, of course. The truth is, we cannot even think in terms of past or future. When we imagine a near or distant future, we can only think about it in terms of the now. In other words, we step into that mental image and observe the future from a present perspective. We have no other way. It is simply how the human mind functions. Even when we think about the past, for example, an argument with a partner, the only way to remember it is to enter that image, that scene from the past in our mind right now. This is where the secret of manifestation lies. By the end of this video, you will understand how this knowledge transformed my life, and I believe it will do the same for yours. This is a conversation I've been wanting to have with you for a long time. You see, most people walk around looking for wealth as if it's some hidden treasure buried in a far-off land. They think, if I just work harder, if I just find that one secret strategy, the money will finally come. But, as a matter of fact, that's exactly why it's not coming. Honestly, it's the biggest paradox of the human experience. We spend our entire lives chasing things, not realizing that the very act of chasing is a public announcement to the universe that we don't have what we want. It's like trying to catch your own shadow. The faster you run, the faster it moves away. I mean, let's be real here. If you are wanting money, you are broadcasting the frequency of not having. So, the more you want, the more you get the experience of wanting. You're literally stuck in a loop of lack. It's frustrating, right? You're doing the affirmations. You're visualizing the penthouse, but the bank account hasn't moved an inch. That's the first big hurdle. The realization that your conscious mind is trying to build a skyscraper while your subconscious is still living in a basement. Now, the solution to this is actually quite elegant, though it's not what they taught us in school. You have to stop being a seeker and start being a target. You need to shift your identity from someone who is looking for money to someone who is a biological magnet for it. It sounds simple, you know? Just change your frequency. If you can vibrate at the level of abundance before the money shows up, the material world has no choice but to respond. It's basic physics. You become a target that wealth simply cannot miss because you've created a gravitational pull through your own state of being. But, and this is the part where most people get absolutely blindsided, just deciding to be a magnet today isn't enough. I wish it were that easy, but here's the new problem. Your body hasn't received the memo yet. You can tell yourself you're a millionaire for 10 minutes in the morning, but what about the other 16 hours of the day? Your nervous system is a record of your past. It's been trained for years, maybe decades, to feel stress, to feel that squeezing sensation when a bill arrives. So, even if your mind is saying wealth, your gut is screaming survival. This leads to a massive biological disconnect. your brain is living in 2026, but your body is still stuck in 2010, reliving old financial traumas. If we don't bridge that gap between your thoughts and your physical sensations, you're just shouting into the wind. And that's exactly what we need to solve next. Look, to fix this biological disconnect we talked about, we have to understand how the body actually learns. It doesn't learn through logic or reading books. It learns through feeling. If you want to become a money magnet, you have to convince your nervous system that the future is already your current reality. I mean, honestly, your body is just a sophisticated bunch of sensors. If you can sit in your chair right now and summon the feeling of deep, profound security, your body starts to release the chemistry of abundance. As a matter of fact, your brain doesn't know the difference between the actual experience of having money and the emotion you're creating by thought alone. When you do this, your heart and your brain enter what we call coherence. You stop leaking energy to the past. You start broadcasting a signal that is so clear, it actually begins to ripple through the quantum field. You're no longer waiting for the wealth to show up so you can feel empowered. You're being empowered to attract the wealth. It's a complete flip of the script, you know? You're finally bridging the gap. You're telling your cells that the hunt is over and you've arrived. So, you've got the mind and body in sync. You're vibrating at a high level. You feel unstoppable. But here's the kicker, and this is where almost everyone trips up. The world around you hasn't changed yet. You open your eyes, you walk out into your living room, and it's still the same old furniture. You check your phone, and there's no congratulations email. This is what I call the quantum lag. See, the material world is made of dense matter, and it takes a bit of time for physical atoms to rearrange themselves around your new frequency. Between you and me, this is the most dangerous time in the whole manifestation process. It's the waiting room of the universe. Because your physical eyes are telling you one thing, nothing is happening, and your heart is trying to hold on to another. Most people look at their current environment, feel that familiar pang of disappointment, and immediately drop their vibration back to lack. They think it failed. But as a matter of fact, the manifestation was already on its way. You just hit the cancel button by reacting to the old reality. Now we're faced with a massive hurdle. How do you stay in the frequency of wealth when everything you see around you is still shouting, "Not yet"? That is the real test of a master. And if you don't get this right, you'll stay stuck in the trying phase forever. I'll tell you something that shifted everything for me once I finally understood it. We tend to think that the physical world is the real world, and our thoughts are just imaginary. But as a matter of fact, it's actually the other way around. The physical world you see with your eyes is just a delayed reflection of where you used to be. It's like looking at the light of a star that burned out thousands of years ago. What you see is historical data. So when you open your bank app and see a number you don't like, you aren't seeing your present. You're seeing the vibration of your past self. I mean, let's be real. If you react to that number with stress, you're just feeding the past and making it your future. The way you beat the quantum lag is by being more in love with your internal vision than you are offended by your external reality. You know, you have to get to a point where the feeling of abundance inside you is so loud that the empty bank account becomes irrelevant. It's like you're watching a movie. Even if the scene is sad right now, you know how the story ends, so you don't panic. You use gratitude as your secret weapon. Not gratitude for what is there, but gratitude for what is already done in the field. That's how you collapse the time gap. That's how the magnet starts working at high speed. You're essentially telling the universe, I don't need to see it to believe it. I feel it, so it must be true. When you do that, the lag disappears and the world starts to rearrange itself overnight. But here is where things get really interesting and honestly, a bit tricky. Let's say you've mastered this. You've done your meditation. You feel like a literal king or queen of your reality, and you step out into the real world. This is where the 3D ambush happens. As a matter of fact, the mundane world is almost designed to pull you back into your old personality. You get a stressful email, or a friend calls you to complain about their debts, or you're standing in line at the grocery store and you find yourself counting pennies again out of habit. Suddenly, that money magnet you were 10 minutes ago starts to feel like a distant dream. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's that constant gravity of the ordinary that wants to drag you back down into survival mode. You can be a master in a dark room with your eyes closed, but the real challenge, the problem that stops most people from actually living a wealthy life, is how to maintain that frequency when the world is actively trying to trigger your old, limited self. I mean, how do you stay a magnet when you're stuck in traffic or dealing with a difficult person? If you can't hold the state in the middle of the chaos, you're just a part-time creator. And the thing is, the universe doesn't respond to part-time signals. That's the final piece of the puzzle we have to solve if we want this manifestation to be permanent and not just a fleeting feeling. So, how do you actually win this game when the real world is screaming for your attention? Honestly, the secret isn't in trying to ignore the world, but in changing your relationship to it. I mean, look at it this way. You have to become the watchman at the gate of your own mind. When that stressful email or that unexpected bill shows up, that's not a sign that you failed. As a matter of fact, it's an invitation. It's the universe asking you, are you still the money magnet, or are you going back to being the person who struggles? I mean, let's be real. Your old habits are like an old pair of shoes. They're comfortable, even if they're full of holes. To stay in the frequency of wealth, you have to practice what I call micro-recalibrations. It's not about being perfect for 24 hours straight. Nobody can do that. It's about how fast you can come back to center when life knocks you off balance. You know, like a GPS in your car. If you take a wrong turn, it doesn't start shaming you or give up on the destination. It just calmly says, recalculating. That's how you handle the 3D ambush. You catch yourself slipping into lack. You smile at the thought and you say, recalculating. You come back to that feeling of security, that feeling of it's done, even if it's just for 10 seconds while you're washing the dishes. But here's the final, and perhaps the most important hurdle you'll face. And if you don't hear anything else today, hear this. Most people start to see results, and then they stop doing the work. They get a little win, a small manifestation, and they think, okay, I've got it. And they let their focus drift back to the ordinary. This is the plateau problem. They mistake a small wave for the whole ocean. If you want this to be permanent, if you want to move from trying to manifest to actually living as a money magnet, you have to make this frequency your dominant home. It can't be a place you visit. It has to be who you are. The truth is, the material world is always a reflection of your internal state. It's a mirror, and you know as well as I do that you can't force the mirror to smile if you're still wearing a frown. You have to be the one who smiles first. When you finally reach that point where you feel more at home in your vision of wealth than you do in your current environment, that's when the floodgates open. I mean, honestly, at that point, the money has no choice but to find you. It becomes a law of nature. You don't have to look for it. It identifies you as its destination. I want you to really think about the code word we've been talking about throughout this protocol. What is the one word that sums up this new version of you? The version that is already secure, already wealthy, and already free. Hold that word in your heart right now. As a matter of fact, I want you to leave it in the comments below. Not for me, but for you. It's your way of telling your subconscious and the field that the decision has been made. You are no longer chasing. You are attracting. Listen, your life doesn't change when the external world changes. It changes the second you decide that your internal world is the only authority. You've got the tools. You've got the frequency. Now, go out there and be the magnet you were born to be. It is done. And honestly, I can't wait to hear about the miracles that are headed your way. So, now that you finally have a clear understanding of how the mechanics of manifestation actually work, the only logical step forward is to take just 20 minutes right now and enter the meditation specifically designed to turn you into a quantum magnet. It's time to move from theory to biology and practically apply this knowledge to your field. The meditation is appearing on your screen right now. I'll see you inside.